We are back with another tier list. This one main series Pokemon
you know
games.
What? This is the side where like most of the buttons are, so me mashing all that time probably.
No, I think I get rid of the any tier because any means I haven't played it, and I've played basically all of these games. Or I don't know. I'm not gonna be that person saying, "Oh, I've technically not played Let's Go Pikachu or Pokemon Sword," because you know they're basically the same game. It doesn't matter.
They are the same game. You just catch different Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna delete the NA tier.
Anyways, I gotta
Okay. Okay. Have a good night, bro.
Night. Have fun. Night.
No. Gen 1. F tier. The only thing that Gen 1 gets credit for is starting the franchise. Those games are a fucking mess. It only has the Japanese versions and then Pokemon Blue. I don't have the other ones. Oh no, there's Pokemon Yellow. There's Red. Red and Blue and Yellow. Yellow is better, but I don't think it's a whole tier better. I think it's the top of F tier. But I don't think it's a whole tier better than the rest of them. Now Gen 2. Gold, Silver, Crystal. This is tough, because yes, they improved a lot on Gen 1. Like, it's significantly less glitchy, more Pokemon, better Pokemon. I say knowing the two of my favorite Pokemon are from Gen 1, but shut up. So there we go. Gold, Silver, Crystal. I think...
I think Crystal at least is like a tier better than Gold and Silver, just because of it's just significantly like better. It's like an actual Game Boy Color game instead of just being a Game Boy game compared to Gold and Silver. Yeah,
I think Gold and Silver are C tier, or are they D tier? That's tough. I feel them C or D, because again, they're all right. None of these games are outright bad, but one, you're not going to go back to Gen 1.
Classed by Crystal. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, because again, you're not going to go back to Gen 1 unless you are just straight up curious about how they work. Like, you're not like, oh boy, I want to go play Gen 1. You're like, Gen 1, or I guess I'm going to play Gen 1 and find out just how glitchy they were.
I think the only Gen 1, like in terms of Game Boy games I go back to is Yellow, and that's just because I have nostalgia for Yellow.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Crystal's B, and I think Gold and Silver are C. Now, Ruby and Sapphire. Ha ha ha, let's get too much water out of the way right now. Ha 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 ha, funny.
I like this also kind of a similar case of like Gold and Silver, but not as drastic. Because like it wasn't as big of a leap with Crystal and Gold and Silver as Emerald was with Ruby and Sapphire. Yeah,
but, well, let's see, tortured bias aside, well, Ruby and Sapphire understandably didn't have compatibility with the previous gen, aka, you know, Gen 2. Like, I can understand that because of the massive hardware differences. And, like, just, like, programming differences and stuff. I think Ruby and Sapphire are either top of B or bottom of A. It's tough. Because, well, Emerald isn't completely better, because they do have slightly different stories. Obviously, Emerald's story is more. But, like...
B, just because, like, some of the features that it was missing was kind of odd in comparison to Crystal. Like, it didn't have, like, the day and night...
Oh, yeah, it also didn't have the, like, moving sprites and stuff.
Yeah. And Crystal had at least, like, the opponent sprite move.
Now, Emerald, again, Emerald is better. Because it has the sprite, it has the Battle Frontier, has the story. Now, I can understand people not particularly caring about the Battle Frontier, but I think that makes... I think the amount of differences between Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald are greater than Crystal and Gold and Silver. Because Crystal technically has a battle tower, but a battle tower is so unfair. But, yeah, I think Emerald gets to be S tier.
I think it's like Emerald has more content with it being the third version, with Crystal just being just mechanically better as a game.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that Gold and Silver were weird on. Some of the color palettes for Pokemon. Like, Sneasel is fucking brown in that game, whereas it was fixed in Crystal. That is not a joke. Have you seen Gold and Silver Sneasel?
I haven't played those as much as I played Crystal when I was little.
Oh yeah, I
I
forgot
believe it 'cause
Bulbapedia.
They were Game Boy games. They weren't meant
Yeah,
for
no.
like, color.
I forgot that Bulbapedia rebranded to Duckpedia for today because it's April Fool's. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna grab the. I'm just gonna send you it real quick.
Brand new. Oh, then from a distance, that just looks like a turd was like mint.
Yeah, it looks completely different than the Sneasel we know because the main body is like yellowish brown, and the feather is fucking like light blue. The shiny is the same. The shiny didn't change between versions. But yeah. And back to Emerald anyway. Emerald, yeah, Battle Frontier, different story, which I argue is better. More involvement with Rayquaza, blah blah blah. Fire Red, Leaf Green.
Yeah.
It's probably the best Kanto
Way
games.
to play Gen 1?
Yeah, we had the same idea there. I think they're A tier just because they're, well, they're not the original Gen 1.
Like, while it is Kanto, they're honestly a very just solid experience for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because they're weirdly enough one of the harder games too. Which is a
Probably because you're only limited to Gen 1 Pokemon.
Gen 1, and you also just don't level up as fast in that game too, for some reason. It definitely felt slower.
Yeah, that's fair. That's it. They're probably the best way to play Kanto. I think they would, well, obviously, you know, obviously the games so far don't have the physical special split, which is definitely a point against them all. Which, too, I'll give credit where it's due. Diamond and Pearl do that, and I do have a lot of nostalgia for Pearl. However, they are not very good.
They're just completely outclassed by Platinum.
Yeah, it's not even the same case of, oh, Gold and Silver have some niches over Crystal, or Ruby and Sapphire have some niches over Emerald. No, they're just significant. Like, there is no reason to play Diamond and Pearl original nowadays. Unless you want to play Pokemon Battle Revolution, that is the only way. Platinum, significantly better. So much better that I think it's S tier, because story's better, post-game's better, progression's better, music is 90% the same. Then you've got, you know, Giratina's theme, which does slap, and the Battle Frontier theme, which is also good. But yeah, I think it's just so much better than Diamond and Pearl that it's just not worth playing Diamond and Pearl unless
Also, character designs, it has the better version of Dawn.
Oh, that is true, yes. Character design changed too, to be better. This is gonna be controversial. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This is... Okay, so... As games, just general games, they are very good. They are very feature complete. And as a general experience, again, very good. However, as remakes, purely as remakes, they are not good. For the reasons of, they fix very little about the original Gen 2's problems, namely slow battles, dog shit level curve. Oh yeah, that's another problem with Gen 2, just in general. Dog shit level curve. And the fact that the Johto doesn't really feel like a region, it feels like it's preparing you for Kanto. Like no other Pokemon game feels like it's preparing you for post-game. Like, you entered the Elite Four at level 40. No other game is anywhere close, with the next closest being Gen 3 at level 49. Or around that area, like 46 to 49.
Yeah, and that's just also, again, another issue of just Gen 2 having the two different regions.
Yeah, like,
originally.
it's like, as I said, as games, that's great. There's a lot to do. There's so much you can do. However, as remakes, they fail to improve upon the majority of things that were problematic in Gen 2. Like, Pokemon variety is basically the same until you reach the post-game. With most of the Pokemon being, like, well, obviously, since they only introduced 100 Pokemon, most of the available Pokemon are Kanto Pokemon. Which doesn't help give these games, like, this is just the problem with Gen 2 in general, including the remakes. Like, it doesn't really have much of an identity, because most of it is just pre-Kanto. But that makes it complicated, because, like, as remakes, they're bad. They're C or D tier. But as games,
too is like,
they're like S tier.
Yeah, it's the thing of like, they just, despite not fixing some of the problems from Gen 2, they make up with it for the content and just how much you can do otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird dichotomy of like, well, it could have been better as a remake. It makes up for it as just being a fun game and
yeah, and that makes it difficult because if you compare Fire Red and Leaf Green to original, like if you compare Fire Red and Leaf Green to original Gen 1, like the level curve is still a little bit annoying, but it's nowhere near as bad because at least you have the Sevi Islands and like the Versus Seeker to more easily rematch trainers. Whereas you don't have that in original Gen 1. So yeah, as I said, it's complicated because as remakes, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, bad. As games, very good. So you can't just have to split the difference between them.
What you do is you just put Heart Gold in one and Soul Silver in another.
That is true, I can do that. It's like I'm debating between A and B tier just because I have to split the difference between that. There we go. They're A minus B plus. There we go. And hey, we're at Gen 5 now. Oh, so yeah, that Heart Gold Soul Silver opinion is going to be very controversial. I already know. Because people love Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Not because it's a good game. It's
yeah.
Just, I think people also didn't play the original Gen 2 and don't have that to compare to.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Gen 5. Gen 5, good. Black and White actually have a story. And, you know, the general gameplay is vastly improved compared to, you know, Platinum and Gen 4. Like, the gameplay is...
I think it's, like, honestly the best, like, 2D Pokemon. As
almost.
in, like, you know, presentation and gameplay-wise.
Yeah,
I
almost.
wouldn't say, like, perfect. Because, like, you know, obviously Pokemon...
That is another problem, since with the Heart Gold Soul Silver. Since they're in the Gen 4 engine, the battles are slow as shit. Again, that's both a problem that wasn't solved from Gen 2, because Gen 2 battles are also very slow. They have the same problem of health bars taking fucking forever, if it's a big one. But obviously, you know, Gen 4's engine kind of made it really hard to do that. However, there are hacks out there that have been able to fix that, so, you know. But yeah, Black and White, again, they actually have a story. So creditors do. The gameplay again much snappier than the other DS Pokemon games, and the same can be said about Pokemon Black and White 2, which I personally think are the best Pokemon games. Like the only thing they suffer in comparison to others is the story compared to Black and White, but that's like it's not terrible.
Black and White and Black and White 2 in one game, it would have just been perfect.
Yeah, like it's not like no one else said the story's still decent. It's still good. It's just compared to Black and White, the story is not as good. However, again, the game, like everything around it is basically the same. Like gameplay is basically the same. Still has
actual
like
story progression, which we haven't seen since like Gen 2, is also interesting.
We don't even have that much in the way of story progression in Gen 2 either, because I was like, oh, Team Rocket's reforming. That's basically it.
Yeah, but it's like you still see stuff from the first story slightly different from before. Like, you know, certain characters are like slightly different or whatever. It's kind of like that kind of mentality. You know, the whole entire fire gym is just gone.
Oh yeah, someone blew it up. That means someone, I mean a volcano. Heatran. But yeah, I said I think also Black and White 2 have so much to do in the post game because you got legendaries that you can hunt. Obviously, you got it was the first game with the shiny charm.
It was the genies.
That was the original Black and White though.
But the genie forms were in black and white too.
Oh, the Therian form. Oh, yeah, it's Therian. It's Therian. That is true, and they are better than the
Also-
buff man on Cloud.
Also, it has probably like one of the worst male player designs. I don't know what happened with Nate. That hair.
Yeah, someone just got out of bed and went on a Pokemon journey. But yeah, as I said, I think Pokemon Black and White 2 are the best mainline games. Like that.
It's not Let's Go.
I know. That's shocking. Yeah. Black and White 2 best games because they basically took everything that was questionable about Pokemon Black and White and made it better. The only thing that was different was the story, but that's because they can't really do the same thing as Black and White because one, then they'll just be criticized for being a copy, and two, it wouldn't really make much sense since characters actually developed in Black and White, so they would have to regress back to then redevelop, which would be a kind of shit
Yeah,
move.
I think the issues with the story in Black and White was just already good, and then they couldn't really do what they did again. And so like certain elements, like the rivals aren't. Well, the rival isn't as good as like the rivals you had before.
I'm about to unleash my rage. God, that line is so dumb but funny. But yeah, now Pokemon X and Y. It's complicated.
X and Y is unfortunate 'cause it's one of those games where like it could have been so much better, but
With a third
Game Freak
version.
was just like, yeah, 'cause they held off on so much stuff in X and Y to put into Z, and then just never made Z, and it's like this could have been so much better.
Yeah, it's
also
complicated because one, your rivals are basically just walking pieces of furniture, and most of the story is just meh. Who
The
cares?
villain team should just not have existed.
Yeah,
They're just so
the
forgettable. and
backstory lore is neat. I wouldn't mind like a Kalos Legends game. That'd be neat. Taking place
Like, it
during
should've
the
just been,
war.
like, you and your friends going on like on an adventure, and then you fight the old man that lived forever at the end. We really did not need Team Flare.
Yeah, that's true. However,
when you get the cover legendary too, it just kind of happens.
yeah,
It's
I
just
will
like,
give
oh,
it
this-
its battles snappy. Same as Gen 5. The battles are snappy. They're not like slow. They don't drag on. Mega Evolution
until
also
we
very
float
good.
Across the wind.
No, Mega Evolution very good. No, the battles in Gen 6 don't drag on. That's Gen 7.
No, I'm saying when a leaf blows across the wind because it just lags. Because optimization.
No, that's Gen 7. The double battle problem is definitely a Gen 7
I
problem.
had issues with because if you like Razor Leaf, it's like too much particle effects at once.
I don't think I've ever had that, but
I also did play in 3D, which didn't make it any
oh
better.
yeah, no, I can't see 3Ds. Well, I can't see the 3D, so I don't play in 3D. But anyway, yeah. So it's complicated because where XY suffers, the gameplay is like
a lot of interesting
good.
stuff. Yeah.
like there's a lot of interesting lore and stuff, and the gameplay is good. We'll get
the
like
main town is interesting. There's customization. You got the
Yeah.
rollerblades.
oh, also they're like the last mainline Pokemon games, like mainline Pokemon games as of this very moment that don't feel like hallways. Like the routes feel explorable rather than just like
Yeah.
you're going this way. So I'll probably put them in B tier. Now, Auras.
That's the one that I'm like conflicted with.
Yeah, Auras is also complicated because, well, it's pretty easy. Like, especially since the game hands you fucking just like two legendaries you have to catch. Laias and, your version mascot. It is cool in that, one, you don't actually have to beat the game to gain access to, like, non-regional Pokemon. You just have to catch the legendary. And, like, They do improve from Ruby and Sapphire in that regard. Like, Pokemon availability is so much better because of that availability before the post-game. And again, Mega Evolution stuff. Battles are snappy because Gen 6.
I think an issue that like, because like even though Heart Gold and Soul Silver, for example, didn't fix much of the problem from Gen 2, it did take Crystal and kind of split it into Gold and Silver, and I feel like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire failed in the regard of kind of splitting Emerald between the two. In the
Auras were more of Auras were more remakes of Ruby and Sapphire than they were Emerald.
Yeah, and like you're missing the Battle Frontier, which is
like I can understand that, but I don't agree. Like, I think people wouldn't really have had that much of a problem if there wasn't that statue that said the Battle Frontier project has started.
Yeah, it just felt like a tease.
Yeah, it felt like a fucking kick in the balls. That's what it felt like.
Also, Mawville City.
Oh, Mawville.
Yeah, it just became a mall.
Yeah, I think that may just be because it's using Gen 6 as a base. Like X and Y as a sort of base, so they had to make Mawville like Lumiose in that regard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's complicated because I think they're already remakes because they do solve the problem of, you know, surfing being annoying and slow by giving you less encounters in the water and faster ways to surf.
I think it's kind of like the Heart Gold and Soul Silver situation, was just kind of in the middle, like A and B for me.
I think it's
definitely better than the originals because it's basically just the originals but like newer.
I think they're
near the same caliber as Emerald.
I think they're better overall remakes compared to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but worse overall games compared to Heart Gold Soul Silver. So I think there'll be a. I think I'll.
You can just split it again.
It's not as complicated because I think I like Auras better than Heart Gold Soul Silver. That was the first game I got the shiny charm in. That may be biased speaking. Now, Sun and Moon. They're the opposite of X and Y in that their stories are alright, their stories are pretty good, but the gameplay is not. Because, you know, you get stopped every like 10 fucking feet. The first island takes forever.
Worst rival.
Well, you know, How is very, very mediocre in Sun and Moon. Like, he is so decidedly meh that I don't care about him at all.
The worst part too is like, he even knows he's annoying and he still is annoying.
I think I have to put Sun and Moon at the same place as X and Y because they're like opposites, where X and Y have good gameplay and terrible story and characters.
It's also the issue of X and Y too, where like there's just gameplay and stuff that just got held over for the next version. It just kind of makes the originals obsolete, but they actually exist, unlike Z not existing.
I will have a bit of a soft spot since Sun and Moon were the first games they were the games I started shiny hunting with SOS.
They have a really nice like aesthetic and
oh yeah, like the region's neat and all that stuff. Like, but it does start getting into hallways, and it's also like again difficult. Like
also
to talk about it.
The start of the training system just getting worse.
Yeah.
Remember in X and Y, you could just pick
Super
a friend
Train.
that you had on your 3DS.
Oh yeah, no. PSS was like, I don't know how they nailed PSS first try, like online functionality first try, and then they just regressed it so hard going into Gen 7 and Gen 8.
It's actually a problem.
Like, I genuinely don't know how they did that. Also, they didn't have the national decks, but at the very least, all Pokemon were available to get, like to use if you pull them in from.
Oh, actually that reminds me. You actually had an embargo when it first came out. People forget about that.
Huh?
You could not trade in certain Pokemon for a while when the game first came out.
I mean, it didn't have home compatibility?
No, as in like... Because home didn't exist. When
Oh,
Sun
I
and
meant
Moon
bank.
first came out. Okay.
But yeah, I think Sun and Moon are equal to
Yeah,
X
the
and Y
issue
when
is-
it comes to that stuff.
I think the issue when it came out was like if the Pokemon was not in Sun and Moon, you could not trade it into Sun and Moon for like the first like few months or something, because they were trying to like curve something with like competitive or whatever. So like for example like Gardevoir, right? Even though Gardevoir, like for example if you hacked it, because I actually did that for a friend, you could put Gardevoir in a game and it would be fine, but you couldn't legally trade it into the game for a while.
Yeah, I think that was
Same with,
part
like,
of
a
an
lot of
update that
other
added bank compatibility.
Well, it wasn't so much the issue of like the Pokemon couldn't be in the game, it's just they didn't want you to put Pokemon in the game that weren't already in it.
Fair.
Which like I'm not saying like that's a negative for Sun and Moon. I'm just saying that's like kind of like a funny little quirk that people forgotten because like they haven't done that since Sun and Moon.
Yeah. Speaking of Sun and Moon, Ultras. No. Again, this is complicated because like it still has the problem of the
story's just
first
completely
world.
different.
Because the story is completely different.
Like Lusanime is just a different character.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, because the post game is better. Well, better. It's complicated. Oh, that's right. The Gen 7 did have the Ultra Beast post game with Annabelle and Looker. That's true. That was pretty neat.
And yeah, that was pretty good.
Let's see.
The player characters were definitely a step down.
Yeah, that's fair. It's complicated.
Also,
like I have no idea.
I don't
how
want to
to
sound like I
this.
hate it, but the Necrozma gimmick is also just kind of too much for me.
It is kind of copying Black and White 2 in that regard. Although Ultra Necrozma. Oh yeah, also Z moves or whatever. Who actually care
It
about
feels
Z
like a
moves?
try-hard version of Black and White 2, if that makes sense. Like, they want to make Necrozma like super cool and the best, and it has this ability that's just amazing, these cool moves and stuff. And it doesn't feel like it earns it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see.
It's like this Pokemon because it's cool.
But the thing is, they added like there's some stuff in that game that does feel like a finishing for the original Sun and Moon. Like, for example, Ultra Space is actually somewhat explorable rather than just being a hallway. Although the hallway is Ultra Megalopolis, so
Rainbow
take
Rocket
a
was like
pause.
an interesting idea that also just didn't develop as well as it could have.
yeah, like it was interesting. I think it's more fun to play Rainbow Rocket compared to Luzamine's, not Luzamine, Ultra Sun and Moon's post game of Looker and the Ultra Beasts. Like, I think it's more fun to play Rainbow Rocket, but obviously the Ultra Beasts with Looker and Annabelle has more story.
It feels like Sun and Moon had a more solid story, and then Ultra Sun and Moon, while different, wasn't as much of a consistent story.
Oh, hey, there, yeah. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, though, did improve some things, and, well, first off, you could actually evolve your Vulpix, your Crabrawler, well, not your Vulpix, but you could evolve your Crabrawler and Eevee into Glaceon without being at the end of the fucking game. Because you could have
Okay.
access to that small area of the mountain. And, oh, also, the mountain itself actually was a place like Victory Road, unlike in Sun and Moon.
I think that's this issue is like Ultra is like it's basically just like it kind of replaces Sun and Moon in the respect of like gameplay and the Pokemon stuff. but like narratively and what the post story is, it's just kind of like different.
Yeah, they also lose points for barely changing much of the actual region. Like, there's a bunch of stuff added, but the region itself is barely changed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like Black and White 2, for example, was actual progression in time in an actual like sequel.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of different cities and stuff. You started off in a completely different fucking area.
Ultra is just it's just a retelling of the same game.
Yeah,
it's like a remake in the same generation.
So it's complicated because I don't think I have weird bias for the Ultra games. And I feel like I like them more than Sun and Moon. I don't know why.
Yeah, like I think like they're technically better than Sun and Moon, but it's nothing like, you know, Emerald to Ruby and Sapphire or Black and White 2 to Black and White. It's just like a bit better.
Yeah, I said it's complicated. I think I'll put them in
I think too. I feel like another issue too is like it just kind of replaces Sun and Moon, as in like why did Sun and Moon exist if Ultra Sun and Moon is kind of just a retelling of the same game?
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm gonna put it in the same tier as well, next to Sun and Moon, because got to differentiate them.
I think that's fair, honestly.
Now, the Let's Go games.
Here just for those freaking games.
Well, Let's Go or
yeah.
well, here's the thing.
That's like below F.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody wanted them, but they are competent as games. Like, yeah,
they
like,
have a nice presentation. I'll give it that.
Yeah, like the graphics and art style and stuff is pretty good, but it's like nobody really asked for it.
Think of the gameplay loop though. Like, how long can you like honestly like play those games mechanically and feel like you're having fun when all you're doing is just catching Pokemon over and over again?
Well, you say that, but we'll get to that. I don't think I can.
Is different.
Well, I don't think I can put them in the same tier as the original Gen 1 because these are actually relatively competent games that aren't broken at their core.
Okay, that's fair. They aren't broken. I think the issues are just kind of bland with good presentation.
Yeah, I said I don't think anyone cared or wanted Let's Go.
I actually like the concept of Let's Go, but it falls short from what it could do. Like, for example, like the compatibility to Go is abysmal.
Yeah. At the very least, you can transfer in Gen 1 Pokemon for free rather than having to use fucking Pokemon Home.
See, here's the issue. I wish you could transfer from Let's Go down to Go, but you can only go from Go to Let's Go.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Which is very annoying.
Okay, so Sword and Shield. That is very difficult, because do you want to judge it without DLC or with DLC?
I think with DLC is only fair.
Well, you could do judge. You could judge with and judge without, because there's two of them.
I mean, to be fair, you did judge Star Allies based on its end content.
That is true. I did do that. That is true. So I guess yeah, we'll do it as DLC. Because without DLC, they're also D tier. Because I don't think I've met a single person who cares about the story for Sword and Shield. And Chairman Rose is a terrible antagonist. Like, I get his idea, but he literally couldn't wait a fucking day for a crisis 1,000 years in the future. Like, that is a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful. Sword and Shield is like the unfortunate product of having really interesting characters with nothing for them to do.
Oh yeah, also, did you guys know that Leon has an unbeatable Charizard and is unbeatable, and he's totally got an unbeatable Pokemon? That was so fucking annoying. Oh, he also fucking dildo hair.
Had Charizard?
Oh, he also motherfucking dildo hair in the post game. What the fuck? Like, that shit sucked. Sword, Word, and Shield, but like, I get trying to work those like Sword and Shield into names, but holy shit, it's terrible.
I will say though, as much problems as Sword and Shield has, I feel like that's one of the few Pokemon games that I actually just had fun doing everything but progressing the story.
Fair.
I spent so much time in the wild area and not doing the gym challenge.
That's fair. Yeah, the wild area was a neat idea. That was explored upon in DLC, which we'll get to in a second. The thing with Sword and Shield is they felt rushed, and a lot of it felt like it was trying to steer you to competitive.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, Sword and Shield had a fantastic amount of quality of life changes, like the Nature Mints being able to rename it any Pokemon Center, box anywhere. Like, some quality of life features were great, and they're gonna get overlooked because they were introduced in Sword and Shield.
It also introduced a lot of new interesting Pokemon as well.
Oh wait, that's a good thing that Gen 7 did, regional forums.
Oh yeah, that too, yeah.
Although Dynamax is just a who cares gimmick. Like, I don't think anyone cares about Dynamax. Terribly broken in singles.
Dynamax is it's just the worst Mega and Z move.
Yeah. But we have Megas and Z move at home. Megas and Z move at home. But yeah, now that we've talked about... Oh, you first.
Yeah, it's just... I was just gonna say, like, it's a weird dichotomy too of, like, it's probably just one of those Pokemon games that's just been really fun to play, but it has a lot of issues that...
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. However, when you take the DLCs into account, that definitely bumps them up. Because, well, the Isle of Armor's alright. Crown Tundra's very, very good. And also, I prefer DLC to a third version. However, it is very unfortunate that the DLC was introduced in the generation that people were already thinking the games were super unfinished, making it feel like they were being sold the rest of the game.
Also, the fact that you have to buy the DLC for both games if you have different versions.
Yeah, that's also annoying. Like, I can understand why, since unless they're like specifically Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, like you bought them for both games together, but it's like it's complicated. But yeah. Oh yeah, also there was a whole Dexit thing, which I was definitely very unhappy with when it came to pre-launch. It didn't, like, after I played the game, it's like it doesn't really, like, you don't feel it all that much until you've done like literally everything. But they obviously added in some Pokemon back with DLCs, which is nice.
That's another thing too. They made catching Pokemon more organized. Like, you could open up your decks and you'd be like, hey, these are next, or you know, they made it much more like manageable for like finishing the decks, despite, you know, the whole no national deck thing.
That is true, but there was like that in Gen 7 as well. There's no national decks, but every Pokemon was still programmed in, which definitely hurt. Because I was very upset that Poliwag and Torchic were not in the game at launch. Obviously they are now, but not at launch. But yeah. If
Just play X and Y. You got Torchic at the beginning.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, Crown Tundra is also just, like, it's really good because, one, it adds post-game in terms of the fact that, one, you're supposed to do Crown Tundra in the post-game. And two, there's, like, the Dynamax Adventurers, which are actually, well, they're very interesting. Like, they're quite fun. Although I tell that to me 2 months ago when I was suffering for Tapu Lele.
Well, here's another nice one. You didn't have, like, obviously no HMs, but you didn't have to use, like, random ride Pokemon to do with stuff. You just had your bike.
That's true, but...
And you could fly anywhere without having to, like, you know, do anything change.
That is a problem with the Sword and Shield had, though, is that the routes themselves felt like just... They were even more corridor. Yeah. That is also one problem.
Voice acting for...
Oh, yeah, for Piers. Yeah, no, that was a very questionable decision. They didn't even have fucking Simlish or whatever.
Also, the towns also just kind of felt smaller in scope.
Oh, Ball and Leo was pretty cool, though. It looked really nice.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying like they looked bad. They just felt smaller.
Yeah. As I said, it's... Sword and Shield's complicated, because without DLC, it would absolutely be a D tier, bordering on F, but definitely very low D tier. With DLC... Oh my god, yeah, it did have that. With DLC, it's either low B or high C. think I'll put it high C's. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Technically speaking, they are better than Diamond and Pearl.
This is kind of just a case of like Let's Go, where it's just like it's just a nicer version of the original game.
Yeah. And given
Except,
what we
you know, there's
learned,
more just pure catching.
yeah, and given what we learned, how a large amount of the code was straight up just copied from Diamond and Pearl to BDSP.
Yeah, at least Let's Go didn't have that.
Oh, they
Also,
probably
Let's Go
could.
had rideable Pokemon, which was funny. You could ride
Yeah.
Snorlax.
Yeah, BDSP are technically better than Diamond and Pearl. However, the only thing, well, they do everything slightly better, except for Ground Underground. Ground Underground is significantly better, except for secret bases. However, the fact that they're just strict remakes of Diamond and Pearl with very little Platinum influence kills them. Because yeah, they're relatively quick in their battles, unlike Gen 4. But at the same time, they are just almost carbon copy, literally, of the worst parts of Gen 4.
Kind of like getting a DSi XL when you had a DSi. It's just bigger. But
Yeah,
definitely
that's fair.
better.
Like, it's technically better.
Yeah. But like it doesn't improve.
Yeah. And then, hey,
And,
look,
like,
we're on Legends
Like
Arceus.
how you mentioned before was Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like your problem was like it didn't fix many of the issues of Gen 2. And Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl just
Even worse. Like, they fixed the
Yeah,
issue of
'cause it's
everything
just
being
the
so
code.
fucking slow compared to Diamond and Pearl. But Platinum definitely fixed
well,
that surf
I
speed
mean-
one.
there is the loading time.
Oh, but yeah, that's only getting into the game. Like, actual battles aren't slow, surf speed's fast. Saving is a fucking snap. Which, that is one thing it has over Platinum, at least.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue of Diamond and Pearl, the saving. Because like in your games, you actually have a saving animation, and you just never see the animation happen.
But yeah, as I said, Diamond and Pearl are okay. Well, BDSP are okay, but like, if Platinum didn't exist, they would definitely be a bit further up. But since Platinum exists, it's like, oof. The only thing they do
it's like
better
if-
than Platinum are save speed, Ground Underground.
Yeah. And the fact that you can actually have Pokemon following you in the overworld.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, that's another thing Gen 8 did. Mandatory EXP share. Oh well, technically that was Let's Go
also-
Pikachu and Eevee, but
It also nerfed Chatot. We still cannot say that word with it.
oh yeah. Chatot says fuck. That's something I would see in a fucking PMD abridged, honestly. And anyway,
And unlike Auras, like it doesn't feel like.
Legends Arceus now.
Also, the other issue of
Another new game.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Arceus came out right afterwards.
Oh yeah. That's true. But yeah, Arceus. Well, it's definitely not F tier. Or D. Or C. Or B. Is it S tier? It's not S plus. But is it S? That's complicated.
Considering how many hours you've put into the game.
That is true. My Switch will only say like 150 hours. Like I put like 2,000 odd hours into Sword and Shield, but most of that has been shiny hunting. Yeah, I think Legends Arceus is. I think I'd put it's either high A or low S.
Like ass, just because of like, while it does lack some of the polish that it could use, it's definitely a positive change in the right direction, and it fixes a lot of issues that Pokemon has had from the formula just being so repetitive.
That's a good point.
Especially with battles. Like, battles are very, like, cinematic and snappy, and you have so much more movement, and there's more freedom to explore. Like, it takes away the quarter issue, and you can, you know, it actually feels like you're in a world.
A good point.
Also, you know, Mr. Mime opening and Cold Ones to Bros.
Yeah, that
Which is
that
what
like
Shield had. They reused a lot of animations, and Arceus actually made, like, personalized animations for Pokemon.
yeah. Like, as much as I don't like Mr. Mime, that was a funny thing to see for the first time. Mr. Mime just sitting on an invisible chair drinking an invisible cup of tea.
And you also actually see, like, Pokemon quirks in the wild, like, you know, having an issue catching Mr. Mime because he puts the light screen up.
Yeah, but he does that from like a mile away. It gets really annoying.
Also Alpha Pokemon.
But yeah, I think that's the end of this tier list. Remember, the reason that Heart Gold and Soul Silver are split is because it's low A, high B. Same with Sword and Shield, it's low B, high C. That doesn't mean the one is strictly better.
Higher end.
It does not mean that one is strictly better than the other. It just indicates the split between the two games. Well, the split between the low B, high C, and so on. Anyway, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
I was just saying that I like how you put your favorite version on the higher end.
Well, yeah, that's the one I played. I mean, hey, as I said, this is just the same. It's just they're basically the same. So when one's in B, one's in C, they're basically the same thing. It's just because I was split on making them low B, high C, and didn't want to make an entirely new tier for 2 games twice. Let me save this.
Also, shoutouts to Black and White, where if you got Black 1, Black 1 and then Black 2,
Memory link.
you would just, well, I was gonna say, like, you get the same legendary.
Oh yeah. That is true. But yeah, I think that's it for tier lists for now. I just wanted to go until the 5.5 hour mark after playing Unite earlier. So yeah, it's gonna be it for this recording. So goodbye, YouTube.